All right, so to get started, this is a really complicated thing to draw. There's a lot of detail in there, and I don't expect that the first line you make is going to be perfect. I would expect that it's not. You're going to have to erase. And look at all these tiny little jagged details. Eventually you're going to get to that point, but you don't start with that line to begin with. I think that's way too stressful. So what I would do to start, I'm going to put this in this bottom corner of my paper here. What I would do, and you want to draw them pretty life size. You don't want to draw them too small because then you're going to have to repeat a lot of leaves in order to take up all that space on your paper. So I'm going to start it in this bottom corner right here, and I'm actually going to bend this one this way just a little bit if I can. All right, so start really simple. Do you kind of see how it's like a heart shape? If you just ignore all the ridges, can you see a really general heart shape when you look at it? Okay, so try to find something recognizable like that you can relate it to and start with. I think that's a lot easier versus going in here and going, okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and counting how many jagged edges you have just to get it right. That's a lot of stress right off the bat. Just let it be a little bit more simple. Find a simple shape that you see within each leaf and start with that first. Especially, I'll do one that is turned and I'll show you how I would do that also. But that's especially going to come into play in that situation. So I'm going to start with just a sort of heart shape. And like I said, it's my first leaf, so I kind of want it to go off the page. Because like I said, I'm starting it. We have to go off the page on all 4 sides, and since this one's going to be furthest to my right, I'm just going to let it go off the page. And right now, if you can even, I know you can barely see it, and that's okay. If I was sketching any bright or any darker, then I'd be a little worried that I couldn't erase it. And this, like I said, is a great starting point. It seems that there's no way that I'm done, but at least now I know where to start. So then I'm going to look at each part a little bit more closely. I see that this gap right here is a little bit wider, so I'm going to refine that. And it's okay for your lines to be sketchy. When you're all done, they won't be, because you'll go through with a marker and it'll be a little bit easier. There's a little tear here. And you can start to kind of refine things as you go. So now I'm going to look for like the main changes in the form. I'm still not even getting to like the ripples yet. That's still way too detailed. Start a little simpler. So if you can start with just the angles, it's going to be a lot more simple for you. You definitely don't want to draw bigger than life size either. Like if you only have 5 giant leaves on your page, you're going to not get as much credit because it's not as challenging. And all right. And I might even start by getting in like these main veins. Like there's a lot of detail in here, but I'm going to focus on the ones that stand out the most. So I'm going to focus on this main one that goes down the middle. And it kind of goes, and this is where you want to be really careful. This is one place that I think students more often than not will come in and they'll just draw any random thing. They'll go like this. They'll have the outside of their leaf. They'll leave it that simple and they'll go like this. If your leaves start to look like that, and if any of them look like that, or if a lot of them do, then you're simplifying way too much and you're not looking at your plant anymore. Okay? That's what you want to avoid. This is a big no-no. Okay? Because you can do that without looking at anything. That is why an elementary school kid can do that, because you don't need, it's from your imagination. You don't need to look at anything or use any kind of observational skills at all to do that. So drawing 1, we're all about drawing from life and drawing observationally. And so this is it's a really hard thing. I'm not going to lie. This is a really, really tough thing. But know that the rest of your projects build on this. You're going to have to start with contour line for every single one of them. So you want to get it right here. All right, so again, this line, I can't just draw one straight line because it's not straight. It's kind of offset. It goes down first. I see it go down first and then kind of curve over like so. And I'm just going to look for these main ones. Right about right here, I see a really significant fold. So I'm going to draw that vein in. And again, I'm not going to draw every single one of them. Not yet, anyway. the other thing to keep in mind is your leaves are going to look very flat at first because you're not doing anything with depth. You're doing that when you add your line quality, which we'll talk about later, but it can be really frustrating because they look flat and they all look like there's no 3D quality to them at first. And that's all right. You kind of just have to get over that and know that when you add line quality, it will. And this side's a little hard since I didn't do the, actually it's just hard for me because I didn't do the outside edge yet. So I'm going to do that. That one's not cooperating. And you know, something to notice right now is how long it's taken me to do one leaf. And I've done this before, and you know, I'm your teacher. So if it's taken me this long, don't be frustrated when it takes you a long time. It's going to. And you have the time to do it. I'm not going to rush you guys. You'll find out pretty quickly that a lot of my due dates depend on how quickly as a class you are getting through things. So don't panic thinking you're not going to have time to get these things done. All right, so now this is going to be a little bit easier to get those in. And even now, that's still not super, super specific, but it's getting there. All right. And again, there's some things I know I'm going to add when I add line quality. So I'm just going to look for a few more. Like even in here, I don't expect you to get every single little one, but I expect you to do your best and get as close as you can. All right. So you want to get just as many details as you can. I'm going to move on quickly just so I can show you. But even here, a lot of times students think that the stem has to start from right here, but I don't see it there. When I look at this and when I look at where that stem hits the leaf I already have drawn, it touches the leaf right here. I don't see where it connects here because it's behind it. I don't need to add that in just because you think it's supposed to be there. Where you see it line up is exactly where you put it. So I'm just going to draw that stem in. And this is where you want to be careful that you have a top and a bottom. You don't just draw one line. The stem itself has a form. There's a top and a bottom. And then that stem leads me to another leaf, and then I would maybe draw that in. I might draw that one in too since it's right there. I probably wouldn't draw, you can't really see this, I'll move it over. As I'm drawing this, I probably wouldn't draw this one. I would probably leave this as a negative space, nice and open, because that would be something in the background. So you do get to pick and choose which ones you're doing, but you don't want to pick like this one and just put it there, and then pick this one and put it over here. You want them to relate as much as possible. You want to kind of have one lead you to another, but the ones that are furthest back, you can probably ignore. Okay. Took me 8 minutes and 44 seconds to do that. It's gonna take you a while, and that's one leaf, and I'm not even done with it. Okay, so don't be intimidated when it's taking you a long time, all right? It's gonna take you a while, and you have time to do it, okay? So should you finish those other things today, that is what you can start with. And what we'll do in a little bit is we'll come through and we'll pick leaves. We'll choose the plants that you want.